Greenbaum. He is the co-founder and CEO of TipRanks, along with Eliot Spitzer, investor and board member. He's also, of course, the former New York State governor and attorney general. And we had you guys on earlier in the year, and we wanted you to come back to tell us what actually happened now that you've been doing these rankings. So tell us the best and worst of it.
So I'd like to take a few seconds to explain exactly how we determined who are the best and worst analysts, because as we know, there are other measurements too that rank analysts, but some of them incorporate factors like their compensation, where they work for, and how kind they are. We only measure the performance of the stock that they recommend. They're only as good at their calls at TipRanks. So what we did is we looked at every stock that they rated. We had more than 30,000 buy and sell ratings this year, another 15,000 hold ratings or neutral ratings this year that we were agnostic to. And every time that an analyst recommended to buy a stock, we went ahead and bought it, and then we closed the position a quarter after, 3 months after the position was opened. So we found, let's start by the general numbers. We found that just following any analyst, you would have made 1.12% every quarter, which is less than the S&P that did about 3% every quarter. If you followed the top 100 analysts, you would have made 6.98% every quarter, which is almost 30% a year, and is about 18% above the S&P. And if you followed the top 50 analysts, you would have made 7.5% every quarter.
So you had to know they were the top 50.
No, I'm talking about those that were ranked highest on 2013.
That you were able to measure.
Yeah, exactly. If you started looking for the top 100 January 1st, 2014, these were your results.
We should do the II top rated. Is there any?
So I want to know if there's any.
It was compare them, and obviously what you show is, see, look, I gave a speech at the II annual awards dinner once, and we had crunched the numbers and said, hey guys, hate to say it, you actually wouldn't do very well as an investor if you followed these guys' recommendations. What Yuri has created, what TipRanks does, is say...
You said that at their dinner?
Here, I had tomatoes thrown at me. It was the one time I really needed... I also said it's nice to put faces to the emails at that dinner. It was not a happy moment. But what Yuri has created, it was funny, and what TipRanks has done is create the metric for transparency in the market so investors can use hard numbers. And that's why these numbers are made.
Are there any matches, by the way, and I don't want to go to the list, but are there any matches between what's on an II list or any of the other lists and your list?
So I saw their list on October 2014, and there were no matches.
Is there any reason to think that past performance is indicative of future results with your picks?
Yeah, so there was a lot of academical research on that specific area, and we found that there is some the top 50
guys are actually good. Some of them, I mean, this is like a whole new idea for me. Some of them can be right more than just 50%.
Some of them, if you know who to
become our new guests.
That's actually what we want people to be able to do. Not only you guys, so that you actually see who is good, who isn't. So the folks you have here will be the ones who TipRanks has said are worth following, but also investors to be able to get the hard analytical data. This is a transparency, market-based answer to the question that we've discussed.
I worry it's going to be Heisenberg, that when you identify them, they'll no longer be any good.
You know, look, I love citing Heisenberg. You know, you study something, you change it, it never comes back to what you think it is. Having said that, what Yuri and TipRanks keep showing, and this is why banks are investing with us, why a lot of platforms want to get us on their sites, is that you can find those correlations if you're smart about it.
And if we want to go to your site, we pay to be on your site?
Well, it's a freemium model. You get a lot of information for free. We aggregate everything on the web.
What's the stuff you pay for?
Well, basically, if you want to see the analyzed information, if you want to see what are the best performing analysts are saying, the best performing bloggers, what they're saying, the most recommended stocks,
Let's go to the wall. Let's just tell us who the top 5.
Okay, so the top 5, the number 1 is a PhD from Brain Capital called Jonathan Ashoff, who had a 71% success rate on 79 stocks that he rated, and his average quarterly returns were 9.7%.
Well, what does he cover?
He covered the healthcare. We're going to see a lot of healthcare, especially when we look on the best and worst stock recommendations.
It's not as though, gee, healthcare did well, therefore they're all healthcare. You are ranked sectorally. And if you get comparisons within the sector, time frame, however you want to do it, the metrics can be measured precisely to equalize.
And if we want access to that research, if you're a viewer, you want access to that research, for example, they go through your site to get access to that research, or they have to actually get access to that research separately?
They have to get access to that research separately. We're not publishing their research. We're only publishing the bottom line. If it's a buy, if it's a sell, the price targets.
Yuri, can I ask you a question? Is there anything that these guys had in common? Did they come from small banks typically?
So that's a very good question. What we noticed two interesting things about the top 5 list. First of all, there were no tier 1 banks in that list. We didn't see any Goldman Sachs, Citibank, and others, which we did see on the best performing recommendations, but we didn't see them on the leadership board of who were the best analysts. The second thing that we found is that all the top 5 analysts on this list, except for the last one, were on our top 50 list of 2013. And the last one was ranked number...
The issue of correlation in Heisenberg.
Yeah, and the last one, which is Mike Burton from Brain Capital, was ranked 183 last year out of almost 4,000 analysts, which puts him still in the top 10, in the top decile.
Real quick, you also rate bloggers.
That's right.
And we have viewers who look at blogs. Which were I mean, you have this winner, you would have made 239%?
No, yeah. So if we look at the best bloggers, first of all, the interesting thing that we found about the bloggers is that all the top 5 came from Seeking Alpha. Even though it's about 20% of the information we take from bloggers, all the top 5 came from them.
Bloggers and the stocks that they're recommending.
Exactly. It's much more complicated to determine if a blogger told you to buy or sell a stock. That's why we use machine learning technologies to understand that, because when it comes to analysts, they have a structured language, they have a finite set of terminology, buy, sell, hold, etc. But when it comes to bloggers, there are no rules, there are grammar issues, they can be sarcastic, and it's more difficult to determine how they perform.
How do these guys do it? Because recently we have discussions about like guys that check channels and do a lot of legwork, and is it inside info? It was, then it wasn't. I mean, are these guys pushing the envelope on whether they have non-public information to get these better returns? And I mean, if he finds out, then you're going to be,
We're not exposing him to everything we want.
Don't let it. I wouldn't even tell him half of this stuff.
The short answer is we don't know, and that's not our job. Our job is to measure.
Now you don't care. Now you're not running for anything.
No, of course I care. If we find out they are, I'll be on the phone to Preet in 10 seconds. I guarantee you.
While you're here,